Hey guys, Ben with Dissent Off-Road. We actually got two builds we're going to show off to you today. All right, so today we're going to try to answer some questions on some of the differences from the LX to the GX. Shoot, I probably get on a phone call almost once a day with customers asking, or potential customers asking, which one should we build? Should we do the LX? Should we do the GX? So today I'm not necessarily going to tell you which one to do, but I'm going to go over some differences and why we would choose one over the other and what type of builds here. So first we'll kind of just start with some of the drivetrain differences. So GX, slightly smaller turbos, a little less power. LX is going to have bigger turbos, more power. Right now you cannot get the GX in a hybrid. The LX700h is hybrid, so you get a lot more power and torque with that. Underneath, you're going to have beefier steering components on the LX. The GX is kind of a weird hybrid between the LandCruiser 300 and the LandCruiser 250 or the Prado, to where the LX is our version of the LandCruiser 300. So as you start digging in and diving into it, you do start seeing all the differences underneath. So even though both of these have portals, so this isn't really necessarily a problem one way or the other, but the LX does have quite a bit larger wheel bearings, both front and back. Even though the axles stuff are the same, the diffs are the same. The GX is going to have the same size front diff. However, you have a smaller outer axle diameter. So the CV on this is 34 spline versus 31 spline. And then the suspension. So you're gonna have the EKDSS on this, and then you're gonna have the active height control. So where that really would be a factor is if you wanna be able to adjust your suspension and adjust your height. So what's really nice, I've actually grown to really love that on the LX. It rides amazing, it does well off-road, on-road, but now I can set this down quite a bit lower in normal, so basically stock height. But if I get hung up or if I get in deep mud, deep snow, I can hit a button and raise this up like 3 inches, which is a pretty cool feature. But on the GX, on the LX, the downside to that would be you can't upgrade. So if you do find yourself wanting more out of the suspension, there's really nothing you can do. GX, we always upgrade these ones to the Icon, so very good performing system. This is the CD-EV, so you do still have some valve control, you just don't have that height control. So the other huge plus that the LX700h has over the GX550, I'm assuming they will offer a front locker in the GX550 come time, but right now you can't get it. So this one in the Overtrail package, it has factory front rear locking differentials, which is huge, huge plus. Again, hopefully Lexus will start offering that in the GX, but for now we do not have that. To where the GX, it only has a rear locker, nothing in the front as of yet. So the other thing, even though not substantial, the LX is bigger. It feels a lot bigger when you're on the trail, when you're in the tight stuff. Interior space isn't much larger, to be honest with you, but we just have a lot, the body panels are just bigger, that front end's bigger. We do have a little more overhang in the rear to where the GX is a little shorter back there. But as far as like a dedicated hard trail, if you're wanting to run trails like Rubicon, things like that, the LX will do it. GX is going to be a better choice there. But again, other than trails like Rubicon, Fordyce, things like that, the LX is going to handle anything you can throw at it off-road, plus some, because you have that front locker. The other very large factor that plays a role into your decision here, actually two of them, would be budget for one, and aesthetics. So some people don't like the look of the LX, some people like the GX better. In my opinion, I like both of them, both for different reasons. The GX is a bit more rugged, a bit more of an off-road looking rig if that had a look, to where the LX, in my opinion, is a little more sophisticated, luxurious, but still will handle all the off-road stuff you throw at it. So again, aesthetics is a huge role. If you do not like the look of the LX and like the look of the GX, I say go with the GX. So let's talk budget. So this one, I believe sticker price is about $85,000 or so, to where this one's $118,000, $119,000. So pretty substantial, about a $30,000 difference. So the question we get asked a lot is the LX $30,000 better than the GX? Honestly, until I owned an LX, I didn't really think that was the case. After owning one, I do believe it is. I will show you some of the reasons. So obviously we do get that front locker, we get the beefier drivetrain components, but just when you get in the vehicle, even opening, closing the doors, the sound, the feel of the interior, the feel of the leather is just much nicer. Not to say the GX is not nice, it's definitely a nice vehicle as well, but you do feel the difference there. Again, just the leather on the seats, the steering wheel, the dash layout, everything to me is just, it's a lot more. You feel like you get what you pay for in the LX. So it just in general, the fit, the finish on the body panels, the feel of the interior, the feel of the leather, the feel when you open and shut the door. You've got the soft closed doors on the LX, which are kind of cool. Again, GX is nice, but just the plastics, the interior, the leathers, it just does not feel the same. It definitely feels like a cheaper vehicle than the LX, which it should be. It is considerably cheaper. That being said, $30,000 is a lot of money. You could have a GX built out almost like this for about what you pay for a mild built out LX700h. So that is certainly a factor when deciding across the two. And you can't really go wrong with either of them. So yeah, with that being said, if it's in the budget, my choice would always be the LX for my use case. But again, your use case might be different. Your preferences, your aesthetic preferences may be different. So comes down to, you really can't go wrong with either. But let's show you some of the other things, other differences on these. Some of that will have to do with cargo space, which is definitely a consideration. So this one, and seating. So obviously that has a third row. This GX does not. This also does not have the hybrid yet, so we do have better cargo space inside here. A little higher from the floor to the ceiling, obviously, because we don't have that battery sitting up. We've got some little bit of storage under there to where the LX, but this is not a third row, so we've only got the second row seating. So if you need that third row, that's obviously going to make your mind up there between the two, which I do. I do need the third row in mine. But this one, you can see with the third row and the hybrid, you're sacrificing a lot as far as cargo space goes. The height from here to here is pretty low, and you just have kind of these weird cubbies around the seats, and they're not very useful. I haven't found a great use for this yet. So we're working on a solution for that, but again, definitely something to consider. So in closing, again, is the LX worth the extra money? In my opinion, it is. However, you're gonna have to make that decision up on your own. I recommend if you can get your hands on one, the interior layout is different. A lot of that's gonna come down to personal preference. But if you can, get in and go out, test drive either of them. But can you go wrong with either? Absolutely not. They're both great platforms. They both look great. They both serve the same needs and some little bit different needs. And we can help you outfit either of them. So let us know what your thoughts are. Would you choose the LX or the GX?